Motion to approve the agenda with that exception.
All in favor? Aye. I can tell already that I am not a good chairperson.
You're doing just fine.
We need to add the approval of the minutes from the last meeting to the agenda.
Okay. So,
Rewind. Motion to approve the agenda with the addition of adding approval of the minutes and the resequencing of events.
all in favor? Aye. Okay, Mr. White, we'll give you the floor.
I feel like I've special treatment, got to go to the front of the line. Okay, you can have copies for everybody, and others.
I hate to do this to you, but the way I stated it, we do the approval of the minutes first, and then.
Okay. Did everyone get a copy of the minutes?
Don't-
Does it matter? I don't think it matters.
But it doesn't matter? Okay,
The
never
order
mind.
of the agenda. of the
Don't worry about
minutes.
it.
Okay, just making sure.
Our city recorder said it didn't matter. It's okay with me.
You want one too? Yeah, she's fine. All right, let's look at this is a lot of information here.
I'm sorry, would you introduce yourself?
My name's Tim White, and with Benefits Inc., I apologize. A lot of things in here. We got the medical and dental renewal with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They renewed November 1st. I'm going to focus on the medical first, and then we'll touch on the dental following that. If you'll tab over to the first green tab and behind the medical and skip back one page. There's account management sheet in here, and you've got the rates. The rates are only one part of the plan, but they are an important part. So you've got this pertains just to the plan design itself. We actually looked at this we looked at it back in July on an illustrative basis, and the numbers are they're high, or we got an increase. It was a 19% increase on with the current plan, but in July it was projected to be around a 27%. So fortunately, claims did improve since July, and it wasn't the numbers that they were projecting initially. If you look at the rates, okay, and you can see the current and the renewal. You've got and you can also see the counts. The counts are actually if you'll make a note on this account management sheet, the counts are actually off. The true counts are 12 individuals, 10 two-person, and there's 34 family contracts. Just to kind of give everybody a clearer understanding, without you really need to understand the underlying insurance before so you can see the big picture on how the plan works. The plan itself, without the HRA, or the health reimbursement arrangement, it's a $4,000 deductible, 100% plan. The plan has everything, all services, all medical services go towards the deductible. You're getting the Blue Cross and Blue Shield negotiated discounts, and so the medical piece is the negotiated rate. Your pharmacy piece is you've got a $5 generic, a $25 brand, a $50 non-preferred brand, and the formulary for that for the plan is in the back here. Should be here, if you want to see how the exact, how it breaks down. But, so you've got 5, 25, and 50, and it's a preventative list, and it's pretty comprehensive. If it's not listed, if it's not underneath the preventative schedule, I mean, you've got most things that you're gonna find. You've got your asthma, and you've got, things that people will have on diabetes and diabetic supplies, and emotional health. You can go, they actually added rheumatoid arthritis medication to it this past year. Cholesterol, high blood pressure, all of them are, you know, your things that people take on an ongoing basis are listed in this formulary. There's a lot of things, though, that are not. And so that fourth tier, you know, if they're not listed underneath this particular formulary, it's not that they're not covered, it's they just actually go towards your deductible. So if you've got I'll give you an example, a combination blood pressure medication, Divan. It's about $130 a month. It's not on the list. Doesn't mean it's not covered. It just means that that they would, you know, if that would be the cost on the plan, and it would go towards that deductible. Once anybody hits that $4,000 threshold, and, you know, once it's reached, then all medical and pharmacy charges are, you know, they're all covered. It's covered at 100%, and there's no limit. Everything's, you know, if you had $1 million claim, your threshold would be $4,000 on this particular plan. What the city does in order to complement this plan, because it is a, you know, is what's known as a health reimbursement arrangement. And the theory behind it is that, you know, if you take the, you know, if you had the bells and whistles, if you had a, you know, let's say $1,000 or $500 deductible, and had the copays in it and everything that were built into the plan, you're taking the premium savings and you're just setting it aside, and you're reimbursing deductibles on a known basis. So that's the, you know, that's what the theory is. And the way that the city has done this past year is that, you know, the way that the HRA works. If you'll flip over to, you can kind of see how the plan works on 2 pages together. You'll tab over to this right here. It should be a green and a red. Go past the options that I spreadsheeted, and then, so here you got the plan itself, and down below at the HRA with the way it, you know, with it all together. What I've done up here at the top is I've broken down the cost. If you look up there, let's just start with the rate analysis right now, the 227. You know, currently the employees are paying, if you have individual coverage, they're paying $36 a month. The city's picking up $191.77 of the premium. You can just kind of go line by line. You can see that the city's exposure currently on the premium is $22,716.60 per month. The HRA, if you look at the bottom, the first $3,000 of the deductible is paid at 100% if you have individual coverage. And the first $6,000 is paid at 100% at $200, which leaves a $264,000 potential outlay. The total HRA exposure today is $300,000. You're not going to spend $300,000 typically on these type plans. We have these plans have been around for a long time, and we've based on Blue Cross's experience and our office experience, typically the HRA claims are going to run right around 40 to 50%. And even on bad years, I mean, somebody has a bad year, it doesn't really matter. It affects one person. It's just that amount for that one person. So it's very predictable on the amounts. And if you look at the city's history, the claims have been pretty. It's very predictable. This year, to date, if you look at the actual, at the very bottom down here, the actual HRA claims from November 1st of last year to present, they're at $130,717. Now, we still lack a little bit because, we've got claims that we still have a little bit left in September. And then the month of October, but, October technically, those claims won't process until after, the renewal. So it's kind of there's a little lag there. But, really you're hitting right at where you're expected with the HRA. If you look at the next page right here, okay, all I did was take the increase. I kept everything constant because I'm not going to speak for the finances of the city. If you put it to the employee and everything remains the same, your premium's the same. If, obviously the HRA, the one thing about the HRA, it's a little different on this. The HRA is only limited by your imagination. You can take whatever ideas that you want to complement your plan and do that. You can use a percentage. You could, some folks will have like an internal deduct, like the employee have first dollar. In other words, the HRA pickup on the back end. You can go a percentage from $1. You can put a $1,000 deductible in there and then go 50-50 from there. Really, it's whoever's got the pen last at the whiteboard. And but the bottom line is knowing what your maximum exposure is, and then knowing where the prediction or where it ought to be, where they actually ought to be at. It's my understanding that we're I don't know if the numbers, can y'all share the budget numbers or is that?
Oh, yeah, it's all public.
So for this year, we're trying to pretty much keep within a range, and then that's what I was trying to accomplish. If you look at if you modify the HRA, and one way you could do this, and I'm not saying that this is the way to do it. There's certainly all kinds of different ways. You do it this way right here, even at a modified on the family and the individual, you're not going to accomplish what you need to do with your budget. So when you look at the HRA exposure here, I mean, the premium's not the problem. On this case, it's the HRA exposure. And you've got all your deductibles and everything are going to reset 11/1. Right now, your claims are running around, right around $11,500 a month. If you took 20% of that, off with them, because essentially that's where it's going. If they're paying, that's where the employees will be picking up that portion of it. It's not enough. So, I don't think, unless you just wanted to really, of course, the last thing you could, the other variable is you can continue to modify premium. But one thing I did, I thought, my objection, or the main thing I was trying to accomplish for you guys is to put the best plan that you can possibly have and provide a good benefit for your employees. Keep the premiums for the employees as close as they, as tolerable. And I don't think that this is your best option. I went to the drawing board, and there's two particular plans. If you flip back, I've ran to the first where I've ran these spreadsheets here. There's all kinds of variations that that you can run with Blue. And over to the left, just for comparison, is your current and your renewal, okay? These plans right here are identical. They're on the same platform that you're on today, okay? You can only go one step up on the plan design on this particular platform, and that plan design is a $5,000 deductible 100% plan. That is definitely a consideration. You start looking at the rate and, where you're at, and, one thing you can't control, HRA is predictable, but you can't control HRA. One thing you can't control is premium. And, so if you look at this, you're at, you're just adding $1,000 of exposure, and you're nearly back to where you're not, you're looking at probably around a 3% renewal at that point in time on just the premium. Now, if you flip over and you go to their core options, that on the next page with Blue, the first option over there to the far left, and I highlighted it, I ran different options and kind of ran some different scenarios, and you can, all based on, with HRA. And if you look at the first, it says BCBS 5. The reason I highlighted this plan is just really for y'all to know that this is the minimum plan that meets it's the bare bones minimum essential, or meets minimum actuarial value according to the government with the Affordable Care Act. So you've got a lot of companies now that are just, they're offering that, and that's it. And you've got financial institutions, you've got that are doing banks, you've got folks in the white collar and blue collar are looking at this type of plan. Is that the one I'm recommending? No, I'm not. I'm showing you where you're at on a benchmark. And this year, there's according to your size. You're really in 2015, you're not required as an employer. I mean, your mandate doesn't start until 2016, and next year it's for employers that employ 100 or more. In 2016, it's drops down to 50 or more. So just kind of keeping that in mind. That's that's where your benchmark is. One plan though that is I think is and I just got this BCBS T6, and if you look over to 11, both of these plans really those plans I got those approved today. The prescription plan on that is it's a 10-50% RX. It's actually a typo. If you look on the far left on BC on the 11, the WellCare and that is supposed to be up there. So apologize for that, but you really get some rate movement here. So, and the unique thing looking at this from a plan standpoint. This particular RX plan, if you're looking to control costs and still provide a first day benefit for pharmacy, this is a good option. If you remember on the other plan, there's that fourth tier on the RX that they're getting HRA reimbursements for. If on this particular plan there would be no HRA reimbursements for RX. It's a $10 generic, and then it's 50%. So if you got a non-generic prescription, then you're looking at, if it were a $100 prescription, you'll pay $50. Now the nice thing about it is that any of those meds they do count towards your out-of-pocket max. So if you were looking at Plan 11 over here to the far right, if you had that $50 would go off the back of that $5,000. if you didn't have any HRA with this plan, if someone once they hit that 5,000 threshold, they don't pay any more, there's no more copays, there's no more 50%, Blue Cross covers everything at 100%.
Once they hit the total 5,000.
That's right. Now, one way that you can, because this plan, one way that you can, right now, your MLR, and that's your medical loss ratio, last year was really high, and that's what kind of put us on a claim standpoint. That's what drove the rates up last year. We made some modifications. It has improved this year, but they look at it on a 2-year average, and your 2-year average is right at 100%. The good news is that your MLR last year was really high, and this year it's really gone back into check. So next year, if you can control the claims, you should be able to have outside of trend, the normal medical insurance trend, it should be a good renewal.
Tim, could I ask a question? Right now, when they hit $4,000, insurance pays for everything, right? Under this number 11, the 70% would be applied to that $1,000 between 4 and 5. So their exposure is $300.
Their exposure is 1,000. They just pay it in 30% increments.
Right. So if they did go all the way to 5,000, that additional $1,000, their actual exposure is $300.
Well, once they hit the 4, okay,
Right.
technically they'd have to have about, I don't know if you do the math on it, you're quicker than I am on, but around $1,600 worth of claims in order to, they're gonna pay an additional 1,000 out. It's just between 4 and 5. It's just how they pay it out. If you get if you go to the doctor and it's a $100 claim, $100 claim,
They're gonna pay it out $30.
they're gonna pay out $30. That's correct. But they've only paid $30 of that 1,000
Oh, toward the 5,000.
that's right. So they just pay it at clips. So it's a true $1,000 worth of exposure. It's just how you get there.
Oh, okay. I get it. All right.
See, it's your plan now doesn't have any kind of, and really coinsurance is, your plan today doesn't have any coinsurance because the deductible's equal to the out-of-pocket. This one just happens, if you look, and the reason that I ran number 10 to show you, if you look at a 5,000 plan with that same RX card, okay, you can get a $4,000 deductible for $1 more. So the value is better for your, for the 4,000, 5,000 than it is for the 5,000 100% plan. I shouldn't say 100%.
Yeah.
No coinsurance.
Yeah.
Because they're both 100% plans.
Right.
It's just once you get to the 5.
And it starts paying earlier.
So since there is no co-insurance on 10, how is that worse than 70%?
Well,
Say that again.
keep in mind that, all right, that even though it's 70% coinsurance, it's only 70% coinsurance between 4,000 and 5,000.
Okay.
Once you get to 5, everything's paid. The difference on 10 is it's straight 5. You don't get a break at 4. You're just paying, you continue to pay the full amount until you get to 5,000, then it's 100%. So it's just a matter of how you get to the out-of-pocket max. My point is for a value, from looking at it from an internal standpoint, if you have an HRA and you're paying deductible expenses, why not lower the deductible and pay only, the values on the plan 11 versus the plan 10? It's just $1 more. I lost everybody? I feel like I have.
No, I'm right with you. It's at what threshold do you want it to kick in?
That's it.
Either way, you're gonna spend the first $4,000 is on you.
That's right.
And then do you want some benefit to start at $4,000?
Or you want it to
Or do you
all
want
start-
some benefit to start at $5,000? And to have it start $1,000 earlier,
You get help.
you get, for $1, you're better off, that makes sense. That's the way I'm following you, right?
Yep, that's it.
So if my expenses are $4,500 and I don't ever make it to the 5,000, I'm better off to have had the reimbursement for that one extra dollar.
Right.
If I'm gonna go
Yes,
all the way to
yes.
$5,000, you're probably right, better,
Yeah, but you're saving $1 and that's it. But you've saved $1. You're
but you
right.
saved $1.
If-
If
if-
you go at 4, your expenses, you're going to, it's gonna take you longer to get to the $5,000, but you're gonna have help after 4, whereas you're not gonna have help after,
That's it. You got it.
yeah.
And really, when it comes into play is when you start looking at strategy for your HRA. Now, if you look at, and when I say that, let's go back. I want to show you an option that I think would work. And I'll tell you what, let's do. And that way you can keep in mind, I've made this so that if you'll pull that green, the current out, you can kind of lay it side by side with the other. I'm going over to the gray plan.
Not this one.
One that is should say 4, 5, and 2. This is the plan we just talked about.
Okay.
If you take this plan right here, the rates, you can see what the monthly rates are right here, okay? I modified the employee contribution slightly on the, right now, you can draw, right now they're paying 36 a month, they pay 50. Right now they're paying 152, they're paying 150 on 2-person. You could keep that at 152. I was just trying to keep it simple on the math. And then on the full family is 250. By doing those contributions a little different, you're gonna actually pay less than where you did last year. You paid $22,716. That would lower the premium for the city's exposure to $21,312.18. Take that times 12, there's your 12-month, there's your 12-month number right there, $255,746. Really, for this budget year, you're only dealing with 8 months left. And so I know that, y'all go from a July to a June 30th fiscal year. But I modified the HRA, instead of, they still get benefit on the first day when they go in, but instead of it being 100% paid, it's actually just split 50-50. So in other words, if you go in and you have the negotiated rate for an office visit is, on average, is about $70. So if they go in, if someone went in and had a doctor's office visit, they would pay $35. And the HRA would reimburse the other $35. If you look at the exposure, okay, you've got 12 individual contracts. You've got, the exposure being $2,000. That total exposure for the year being $24,000. You have 44 family contracts. If you did the first 8,000 at 50-50, then 4,000 would be the city's exposure. 44 times 4 is 176. So you're lowering your total HRA exposure down to $200,000. Okay, so typically your claims would be at 50%. They'd be at 100,000. We know what the claims are running right now, and you can flip back here to the HRA report, and you can see that, where we're at, and just divide that by, add in, divide by 11 and prorate the other. I mean, you're at 150. If they're paying 50%, then, technically the claim should be right around, they should come in around 70,000. Now, conservatively, I'm a conservative person. It, you know, I'll put it on paper at 50%. But if you do that, you're at the, you know, you're at, and that's, again, that's 12 months, 255, 746, and then you've got the expected claims at 50%. The other thing that's on this, that I think, the reason I think it's gonna be lower, again, is the pharmacy piece. The pharmacy piece is not, it's not included in the HRA. They'll either pay $10 generic or 50% on the RX. And you're gonna know in month one, you're gonna see a substantial difference.
That's for the whole year, irregardless of whether they've met the deductible or not.
That's a whole year.
So there is no out-of-pocket max.
Well, there is an out-of-pocket max. The way the plan would work for the individual, okay? The way the plan would work for the individual is that they'll pay 50% up to, until they have $2,000 come out of their pocket, okay? And then they've got another $1,000 on the back end. So the maximum out-of-pocket for any individual on the plan, worst case scenario, is $3,000. The out-of-pocket max on the state of Tennessee's plan today is $3,500. So you want to look at a gauge or a benchmark, you know.
You break that down for the family as well? Can you break that down for the
It would
family?
be, it'd be 6, it'd be 2 times if, you know, but the HRA would reimburse, 50/50 up to 8. And then, you know, at that point in time, see, they're still getting cost sharing though. You know, even when if they blow through the deductible, guess what happens at the deductible? Well, they're not paying, they're only paying 30% clips at that time. Because once you hit the 4, the internal plan changes it down to 70/30. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Again, you could, you know, you can modify this, you can make this, you know, this could be 30%, this could be, it could be a deductible underneath it. You could do 1,000 first and then do 50%.
But we talked a little bit about it in the parking lot. Let me just throw it out here to the other folks. Seems to me that the uncertainty in this is the reimbursement part of this. We know up front what our premium is going to be. So if we have a budget allocation of $75,000 to pay for the reimbursement, then my question to Tim was, what if we added $75,000 to the amount we pay for the premium and bought the best insurance policy that would buy, so that we would spend whatever that is, bought the best insurance policy they'd have, and then there would be no reimbursement program whatsoever? That's the way my policy works with the federal government. There is no reimbursement. They pay all the money up front that they're going to pay, and then I buy whatever insurance on top of that. I pay whatever in premiums I want for whatever coverage I want. And then we simply allocate whatever the premium is for that policy that we're buying, and we're not in the reimbursement business. If they want to open up a private HRA, savings account, HSA or whatever it's called, then they can do that. But we're generally, our costs are set, and that is we pay X amount of dollars per month per employee. What do y'all think? I mean, I sprung it on him outside. He obviously doesn't have any quotes for that, but.
We've got some. I mean, you can see you can look at where the, I mean, you know, from a HSA standpoint, you look over to, on this page here, that has a spreadsheet that just has the HSA plans on there. I mean, you could go to to me, this plan 4 is a, you know, it's a 3,100% plan. The problem is that, you know, the premium amount for the totals, it really moves that needle on that family amount. You know, you're looking at 793 versus 909, but, you know, the total monthly premium on that. Total monthly premium on that is $39,000, so it's $39,737. It's back, I mean, they've got the numbers. That's the total premium. I mean, there'd still have to be, you know, if you were gonna do that, you might consider just, the employee coverage not costing anyone anything. And then them buying up for the, you know, just the dependents. Because if you did that, I mean, you're employing some consumerism is what you're doing. And if, you know, if somebody's spending $36 a month, the theory being that they would take that $36 a month that they're paying for premium, and they'd set it aside to do their own HSA, as you said. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's the math problem would be, you know, what do you do about these, you know, the contribution pieces in these two, with the two-person in the family, pricing.
So, under the plan number 4, what would,
October, that's what we're gonna have left.
yeah, well, this is yeah, okay. But this is only times 8 is what we need.
Right. And I had put in the original plan that we were talking about
Okay.
to come up with those numbers.
Well, I recognize that it does run the family cost up fairly significantly. But when you look at what we've paid out in the HRA reimbursement, that's where we've paid it. To my way of thinking, that's an inequity that we need to try to resolve. Now, I like the idea of providing a basic insurance for every employee free of charge. We pay all of that. And then if they want to add their family, then they have to pay a premium on top of that. They have to pay, if they want to add one, they have to pay that. The federal system only has 2 tiers. You just have yourself and your family. And I have Blue Cross Blue Shield. Itself is $190 a month. Self and family is $440 a month. So it jumps dramatically to add 1 person or add 25 people. It's the same price.
We'll just do this. If you're wanting it fixed, just go to a defined contribution model, and you know, just provide everybody a bucket of money, and you know, and they can a la carte how they, you know, what they want to do. If you took, you know, we know what you're spending on premium. I mean, you're spending essentially you're spending $22,716 in premium. I mean, if you even move that to, you know, Let's just divide it by 56. $14.
Yeah, but we have, if you go to provide free insurance for everybody, you have to cover everybody. So that would be, how many full-time employees do we have?
Well, they can still opt out.
Well, they could opt out, but how many full-time employees do we have?
58 that I'm aware of.
58 full-time employees is all we have.
I think that's what they have on the count.
Well, I think Mr. Hallwood is not on it, so that might be 59.
Not on it.
Okay. I thought we had 7 employees. No?
Not full-time,
How many part-time people do we have?
quite a few.
I mean, police auxiliary.
Let them go out on the individual.
No,
market.
you offer a plan. What you do is you can, in fact, you can offer multiple plans. Let's say you offered this plan right here, okay? And there's a lot of, that's kind of a concept that's out there, but you take all of your coverages that you have, whether it be medical, dental, vision, whatever it may be, and you just provide a bucket of money, and they buy what they want with the premium dollars that are allotted to them.
So they don't all have to be on the same plan?
No. You could have, somebody that doesn't want the medical could apply their, could use it towards their dental or vision. So, it's kind of a, it's an old, it's not a new concept. It's an old concept that's new again. So.
But if they took no insurance, they wouldn't be entitled to the money.
I could put that however you wanted to, you could set that up however you wanted to word that. So, they couldn't take it and go buy insurance outside of your plan. In other words, it's qualified money.
I guess it'd be under the same stipulation as use it or lose it.
Yeah, that's what it would be. But if you take that and, that approach to it, then, and they've got this particular plan. I mean, if you've got individual coverage, okay, and you provided $410, and they took individual medical, then that covers their individual medical premium. And if they didn't elect dependents, they've got nearly, $1,300 or $1,200 plus change that they could put in an HSA.
If they had the discipline,
That's
that's always a problem.
When you go when you go down that road, that's what you're doing. You're throwing it's straight up consumerism. Here it is, and you could offer another plan. There's some parameters on the difference in premium, but you could offer another plan that potentially had a copay in it, that was a non-HSA. It's going to be higher. It's going to be about 20% higher than those rates right there. To me, copays are kind of a thing of they're going to be a thing of the past. It's as we move forward with this, as this healthcare law unfolds, copays are going to be a thing of the past. It's going to be straight up deductibles and out of pockets. And if you look at individual policies out there that are available, your bronze and silver plans, I mean, that's how they're structured. On the flip side, though, you could offer, 3 and 4, and with that amount of money. The leverage with the HRA is keeping that premium low and just, the problem is with premium is you have spent it. you know, if you know at the end of the year, if you've got a Cadillac plan and you've been spending the higher amount on the premium, Blue Cross and Blue Shield ain't gonna send you a check back and thank you, hey, you hadn't had any claims this year. We appreciate your business.
So, just so everybody's clear, it's not that our HRA that we spent more than would have been anticipated, we just didn't budget properly. Last
You
year.
hit exactly where the HRA was expected to hit.
It was at 50%, we just didn't budget 50%.
If, going back, if we had set it up, I will move to change this. Our contributions, I said, right now are shown as a revenue, which I feel like should have been in that account. So if you net the expenses or net those revenues into the expense account, the numbers line up about like they said, but I don't know why it was set up that way, but it'll be an area I will be looking to change in the near future.
For the 8 months, we're gonna have somewhere in the neighborhood of $215,000 to $220,000 to spend in total.
When November 1 hits.
Yeah.
And the expected HRA. Because your HRA is actually, one place that's wrong, I think, what it's gonna end up happening on your sheet. One thing that I think is that right there is gonna be more like 38 to 40. Up there. That's the only thing that I saw that might be different.
Especially if they kick something in before the new plan starts.
Well, that's what's going, yeah, it's gonna see, moving forward, you can control it. If you move it to 50%, I mean, we know where that, that's definitely gonna do it.
So it's gonna come down to $210,000 that we have to spend.
The way I did this and on this particular plan here, the only way that I could find that where it wasn't just straight up, like a defined contribution type model or just a richer plan and no HRA. The best plan that works with an HRA within the budgeted amounts that you have is this one right here, that 4 or 5. And that one will work within your budget amounts. It will.
That plan 11.
Mm-hmm. Your premiums for 8 months left, okay, if you've got got 21,000, 2 times 8, you're at 170 on premium. And you could modify that one, if you change that to 300, that could, because we had talked about that, that could make that number, you could be conservative and move that 250 contribution for family here, you could move that to 3. And that would, that's gonna free up another $2,000 a month, that's what it'll do. But over 8 months, it's 170, 496.
We
Okay?
currently charge them, what, Tom, $160 or something
It's
per month?
It's right here.
152.
You're
152.
All I did on this over here was go from, I just modified only the I moved that up $14. Actually, move that down. We don't have to move that down, but I moved that to $100 more. That's what they're paying today. 152, and 36.
So their exposure goes up $2,200 under this plan, plus $3,200.
The premiums will go up. Those are monthly, So the premiums will go up for.
$1,000, $1,200.
That's for over a year.
Right, that's a guarantee, they're gonna pay $1,200 more. for
Now,
their health
they're the
insurance.
only ones that, you know, the rest of them, you're talking about a $14 increase, and then there's no increase for employee
But
spouse.
based upon the spending habits of the people, they're the ones that we are paying more for.
That's it. The other thing that you don't know, here's some variables that you don't know. When you don't know you may lose some counts here. I mean, you on that family side, you may have some that will actually look at their spousal plans and, you know, you may have folks that may be double covered. You may have folks that
Make other choices.
they're gonna have their own household mathematics to apply. So, you know, there's if you guys, you know, there's some plans out there, I know people that are paying $150 for individual coverage at work. So, you know, if somebody's paying $150 for a stripped down plan at work and they can get $150 here, I mean, there's no choices that are, you know, that's a clear choice. I mean,
Yeah.
now, you know,
And when we were talking about, and then what steered us away from the straight no HRA was that the raising that deductible drives those rates down.
raising
And
the,
if you go straight, the rates just go out the roof.
you're gonna have some people really struggle on what comes out of their payroll deductions if you start moving that plan up. It doesn't take, I think I've got a plan that I ran back in, well, even last year, that, which, you know, kind of give you an idea. It's gonna be 20% more on the, I might not have it with me. I don't have it with me, but I know what it costs to put a copay in. It's 20%. I mean, and that's, you know, so if you took that 3,100% plan, I won't miss this by more than 1%. Wow, sorry about that, guys. Don't want to buy a system.
So Brian, do you have any thoughts?
Well, sitting here adding up, kind of like Alan was talking about, the out-of-pocket increases per employee. I mean, it goes up a little bit on each one of these, but definitely hits the families, which is, like you were saying, some of those will, you know, elect off and may save some of that as well. But looking at the budget compared to this, with what you're going to do, if we were to do it, you know, this defined contribution, just my quick math here, wouldn't fit the budget. So, I mean, looking at the decreases here, if some of those do unfortunately come off, that looks like the only one to fit the budget. You just gotta also think about some of them coming off. I mean, are you gonna have employees that, you know, I kinda always look at it from that standpoint, unless, I guess, a little bit of how's the acceptance to the employee on the changes. If it's an extra $3,200 for the family, that could be substantial per year. Is that gonna negatively affect
Well, you're right.
that
and-
aspect
and
of it as
one-
well? Is
one-
that employee gonna say, well, I need to rethink this whole
Here's
scenario?
one thing, and you hit the nail on the head. It kind of goes back to what I was saying on the premium piece of it, okay? One thing's for certain, you may not use your health insurance this month, but you spent your premium. So, you know, you know, your month-to-month budgets are, you know, if you start raising those, if you put a better or no HRA plan in there, it's gonna be expensive.
Right. And I'm just, you know, you think about that from a,
Here's what I'm grappling with. And in terms of the HRA, I'm grappling with that we obligate ourselves for twice as much for an employee plus family as we do for an employee.
Make it one common bucket then.
Right.
Make it one common bucket.
This is what, if we did this, if we started with the basic 11 plan and we raised the individual to $75 a month instead of 50, I know that's doubling, but $75 a month for health insurance coverage is still pretty cheap for an individual. And then two-person, it stays at 150, and then we lower family down to 200 instead of 250. Okay? And then when we get down to the HRA, the threshold under this policy is $4,000. We will pay at they will pay the first 1,000, and then we will pay 50% from 1,000 to 4, which means our liability is $1,500 per person, per family, per person, per entity, per that individual. So if an individual, and here's my rationale, and again, I apologize, but I'm going to use my family. I'm the diabetic. I'm the one that has the medical expenses on a recurring basis. Okay? Elaine does not. So why would we obligate, if I was on the city insurance, and I'm not on the city insurance, don't have any benefits whatsoever. If I am, why would we obligate ourselves from a budget crisis of $3,000 per se, or $4,000 for when in reality, I'm the only one that has the recurring issue. I mean, that's what we're trying to really insure against. We can't insure against the broken arm. You know, we can partially pay for that and help people out, but we can't count on, we got another problem if somebody's kid's getting a broken arm every year. You know, so in terms of catastrophic coverage, making sure somebody doesn't go bankrupt because something severe happens, cancer, heart attack, something like that, then it seems to me we could, by doing it that way, we do the $1,000 deductible, people have to make a choice, like we all do. Then for the next $3,000, we're gonna give them 50% reimbursement.
All right, so is the thousand that you're wanting to put in there, is that a?
It's a HRA
Is
thing.
it a bucket, if you've got dependent coverage, do you want it to be 2 times that? Or
No,
do you just
$1,000. There's one bucket for each employee.
Okay.
If the employee's family expenses are $1,000, then that's the same $1,000. Or if there's 4 family members together and they're $250 apiece, that's the same $1,000. Doesn't matter how the family gets to it or the individual gets to it. They're going to have the liability of the first $1,000. Then we're going to, for the next $3,000 until they get to where the insurance cuts in, we're going to pay them 50% of what they spend, whether they're on an individual policy or whether they're on the family policy.
now on the family, would that be an additional $4,000 that the city would pay?
No. It would be, no, it was,
Actually, he's cut the exposure down, instead of it being, first it'll be, he's cut it down to 1,500 here,
times 60 employees are $75,000.
and then
Or
right here.
Whatever the math is.
All right, now, so what's the, so they just get one bucket of money then?
We're giving every employee, they're gonna pay the first 1,000. Okay? Then from 1,500, and this does not include prescriptions, under this number 11.
Nope.
They're gonna pay the first 1,000 of medical, whether they pay it as one person or whether they pay it as 16 people in the family going for 25. Then at $1,000 till the insurance kicks in at $4,000, whatever they pay in there, that 3,000, whether it be for one person or whether it be for 16 people, we're gonna pay them 50% on the dollar back. And then once they get to $4,000, they're on their own.
Okay.
Because
So-
most of the time, and I'm just applying this to my family life cycle, and y'all feel free to give me another point of view. Most of the time, it's not 4 people in the family getting sick.
No.
It's one person in the family carries the major medical problems, or one child in the family. So the exposure is not really that much to anybody. You know, and if something else, like a car wreck or something else happens, then there's other insurance that's gonna be involved in that as well, and paying medical reimbursements and stuff. Am I making any sense? And that way, our cost is finite. They know right up front that they're gonna owe the first 1,000, so if they wanna put 1,000 in an HRA, or a health savings, HSA, they can do that.
Can't do it on that plan. It's not HSA compatible, but what they could do is they could do an FSA. You could do some flex.
Yeah. Whatever they wanted to do, they could do it up front, and to take care of that $1,000, or they can just roll the dice. But the premium for the family, which is where the majority of our people lie, saves them half of the increase, saves them only $50 that way. And I actually think that it will save us money too. But I didn't have a calculator here, so I was doing it all in my head.
That's your maximum exposure if you do it the way you're talking.
Right. It's everybody took us up.
Max.
Max, it would be $84,000. That's if everybody took us up. on it.
That's not gonna happen, but.
That's not gonna happen. That's
What did you want to adjust on that? I didn't catch the premium adjustment.
75 for individual and 200 for family.
Okay.
And I know that jumps individual up pretty good, but $75 a month for health insurance, as good as this health insurance is, where we're gonna reimburse you after your first $1,000, you're gonna start, it's gonna kick in at 50%, and then once you get to $4,000, it's gonna be 70%, and once you get to $5,000 out of pocket, it's going to be 100%. That's a pretty good policy for an individual for $75 a month. I mean, that's what it boils down to. Am I not right in that?
Only, only, it just boils down to, and it statistically, I thought I had that. Have you got that original, have you got I've got some information I gave you on a deductible report.
Is it the original thing you gave us?
I think so. I ran an HRA report, but it doesn't give a breakdown of that's back in July. This is July. I've looked at it. You've only had like 3 or 4, maybe, I think you've only had 3 people that have actually got deeper into family things.
I think you said it was 3 when you.
I think that's right. So, 3 out of 56 is, you're statistically, that's right. And really most of the time, the majority of the time that you have multiple issues is it's an accident. So, now if you want to make sure you hit where you want to hit, for sure, and under, that'll do it. Way under. You'll be under.
How does that affect family? Just walk me through that.
Well, just depends. If it's an individual is we just talked about, he's out of pocket, or she's out of pocket, with 1,000, and they get 50/50, so they're getting, 1,500, it would be $3,500 is what their total out-of-pocket expense would be if they had if a person had a gazillion-dollar claim, their maximum exposure is $3,500.
That is anybody or just the individual?
Individual.
What would that number be for the family?
So,
It'd be
no, double less 2.
double less 1,500.
Yeah, plus 1,500. So it would be, or plus 1,500.
5,500.
Plus 1,500.
Well, you're only given one bucket of money, if I understood you correctly, on the 1,500.
Right.
So the 1,500 is only,
Good the first time.
right. So the family exposure is going to be, if worst case scenario would be $8,500.
And what was it originally, with the way you had it for the family? With the structure, out of pocket? I had it, but I lost it.
Originally, on this plan here, that, the way I had it structured, the out-of-pocket max would be $3,000 for an individual, would be $6,000 for family.
Now, these numbers are a little high because we don't know how much of this is
Pharmacy.
pharmacy and how much, but I'm looking at the HRA report, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of our employees are above the individual amount of reimbursement. So
There's no way to tell, these are dollar, I mean, that's,
So-
that's
so you have
HIPAA, protected information, you can't, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
these are just numbers, so you can't.
No, and I'm not implying anything to it other than statistically trying to figure out that we know right now if we did that, if they had a duplicate year, that 8 employees would be affected fairly significantly by doing this. But we don't know what percentage of that is related to drugs, prescriptions, so that we could, I mean, that would probably reduce that some.
I think that's the reason I think I would, on mine, the way I showed it, I'm confident that you would be under. But if you wanna, I'm also conservative by nature. If, you're gonna know the first 2 months. I mean, there's something that, because you can, what prescriptions are constant. They're, they don't typically fluctuate. They're known. If somebody's taking something on an ongoing basis, they get it filled every month.
Run us a clean sheet that has that on it, and you can email that to me
With this arrangement,
with everything I told you.
yes, I can.
Okay. Or email it to Tom, and he can email it to all of us. Like I said, I'm operating under the premise that that typically if there's someone with medical issues, it's one person in the family with medical issues, so that what you're really talking about exposure is individual, not family.
Well,
Now, there may be a difference, but
you'll do this, and this is, and we looked at it. We looked at the, in July, we looked at an illustrative renewal. We've got that, you had it, I saw it just a minute ago. It did not make sense for us to do that, to move in July. It was a 20, what was it, a
27,
27% increase mid-year. And we rolled the dice and we said, maybe claims will get better. Well, they did, okay? Well, what I'd suggest, whatever we do here, okay? Whatever plan, doesn't matter which plan we've talked about. If any of the plans are they're gonna all affect. I mean, you can't affect a heart attack or something catastrophic. That's something you can't avoid in a claim. But if things perform like they're regularly performing, you look at this thing again, and I don't mean to be, to drag you through it again in 8 months' time. But if you can get this thing if you can get the plan to coincide with your fiscal year, it can make planning so much easier, because you're dealing with 4 months here, and 8 months of this year. So the problem is that it just doesn't flow well. It's tough. It really is. It's tough. And the renewals, we could get you can get a July renewal. We were able to get that. I think it was the second week in May. So that it's you got time to look at it. Is this the right thing to do? If claims stay where they're at, then that and under knock on wood, continue like they are, then you can reevaluate. That's what I'm saying.
well, to me, getting the top part set in stone is paramount, and then this is driven by the budget.
That's it.
So, I don't want to give, I'm speaking as a commissioner now, not as a thing, but I'm gonna have a hard time popping them with $100 a month. $50 a month, that's just the price of health insurance. We've been under the curve for so long, we've got to do something. But, so it makes sense to me to be 75, 150, and 200.
Okay.
But down here, depending upon how the numbers run and whether we buy an 8-month policy or a 9-month policy to get it coincided or whatever our outlay is, the 50% could be adjusted. We could adjust when we kicked it in. We might go all the way to 0 or whatever. But I am pretty sold on the fact that that shouldn't vary from employee to employee. That if we're going to reimburse X dollars worth of medical expense, that ought to be available. Twice as much shouldn't be available to those that have family. I just think it ought to be a flat amount. The city ought to reimburse up to a flat amount. And I wish we could afford to just get out of the reimbursement altogether and just do it, but that's very expensive. There was no way in my mind, that I could even proffer that from a viewpoint. But this, I think it ought to be, whether it's 50% on from $1 to 4,000, or whether it's 50% after they pay the first 1,000, or whether it's 75% after they pay the first 1,000, or however we want to do it. I think it ought to be the same. It ought to be per participant in the insurance policy, not anything else.
Well, my question on that is, why does the family have a higher premium if they're not getting any more benefit?
They do get more benefits. They get more people covered under the policy.
Right.
I haven't looked at all the numbers back there, but, and again, for the HIPAA thing, we can't really discuss that, but it'd be something to look at in regards to, is the ones on, like you said, there's the ones on the family against the ones on individuals, is there a higher cost? I mean, is there gonna be more going out? It's not just apples to apples, 1,000, like you're saying, than one person. Maybe it is, and that would work out perfectly, but is there more truly being, going out there?
Yes.
So if there is,
I can-
Well,
Just
So if
my
there
glance through
is-
that, there are 8 people that are at the $6,000 mark. So that's 8 right there that have dabbled. And then there are at least 15 others that are between 3 and 6. Almost all of the 34 people, the 34 families have gone over the $3,000 mark. Did that answer
so
your
it's really
question?
not making like you said, then it's not making a difference if they're all getting to that threshold.
Yeah, they're all
getting
well,
that threshold.
the ones that don't get to the threshold, if you look at the report, the ones that don't get to the threshold are the individuals. Or, they are, at least the ones I know about that are individuals. I don't know all these people. But the bottom line is that we will save a tremendous amount of money, and they will have to make judgments. But it's always funny when, to me, it's not and there are exceptions to every rule, but most families have one person that has the medical expenses and one person that doesn't really. They have medical expenses, but they don't have the big dollar medical expenses. And that may not be the case, but,
You
yeah.
want it for the 8 months, you want it for,
Yeah, wouldn't y'all like to be on cycle with the budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So,
181, 592, how much, where are we at so far into this we've got,
and you said 219 something was what we had to spend, right?
Yes.
After the employee contributions.
So we would be, for the remainder of the year, we would save $30,000. And if you wanted to turn around and put that $30,000 back into the percentage that you were reimbursing, you could go all the way to 0. And from 0 to 4,000, we're going to pay 50% of what's out of your pocket, and then at 4,000, the insurance is going to kick in, whether it's individual or family. And then what you've done is you've added another $500 to reduce their liability by another $500, and you have stayed under the 219 budget. That's what the numbers show. Am I calculating too fast for you?
And that gets it down to 8,000. That just takes 500 off. Okay.
Maximum out of pocket if you have a catastrophic event.
I think, Tim, it's gonna be important when we share with the employees, that we go over the 4 areas that, you shared that do not hit deduct or are not counted.
well, really, everything's gonna hit it on, you're.
Well, I'm talking about the wellness and the,
The wellness is not, just covered at 100%, and the pharmacy's, first day benefit with the 50%, but,
Because I think when we're presenting it, the $1,000 up front that comes out of their pocket, it's going to sound pretty ominous to them. I don't think the rate increase will sound that bad. I think the $1,000 out of pocket up front is what's going to sound bad. And if we could do it this way, we would save enough money that we could start reimbursement at 50% at the 0 mark. And that would take care of it.
All right, I did not follow you.
Okay. Based upon 8 months, we've got $219,000 left, based upon Donna's calculation. Okay? You said that our premium would be somewhere around $182,000. Okay? So that leaves us $27,000 reimbursement. Difference, right? Is that right? Or is that $37,000? $37,000 difference.
That actually,
You need to count it as 27. This number right here is gonna, you might as well just say that this is gonna be, I think it's gonna be 40, because it's not,
So
That's
instead
what-
of 219, 209.
Okay, all right. So say $27,000. All right, so if we take that right now, we have an exposure of 50%, under this plan that I said, the first $1,000 they pay, then we kick in at 50%, 1,500. Okay? Then we have an exposure of, what, 80-something thousand, 84,000?
it's 84 right here.
Okay, we have an exposure of $84,000. Okay, but now we've got $27,000 more dollars that we can put into that. And I said it would be easier to eliminate that $1,000 first thing and just say, we'll pay 50% from the get-go.
now that 209,000 includes the HRA reimbursement.
Yeah, I'm including it. So 50% from the get-go, which then raises it to $2,000, which raises our exposure to approximately 84 plus
It's not much.
27, raise our exposure $500 per person.
That's it.
So, but we add this $27,000 over into the 84 to cover that. And then when you take out the prescription meds, then we ought to be easily underneath that amount. That's what I'm saying.
I got you.
You with me?
Now, I think our HRA reimbursement will be a higher percentage than the 50% when we're using it on both sides of the equation. When it can be the employee or the family, I think you will,
It won't. The number's the number.
It's the
I mean,
same way.
numbers, you know the
I know
number.
that your odds are greater if it applies to everybody.
See, the
No,
price-
it already applies to
It
everybody.
does.
Okay.
See, that's where I was going. We know the number on the claims. I mean, if it's a, I mean, you could expect about 55, $5,000 to $5,500 worth of claims a month. Could be less, because we don't know the pharmacy variable. And then, you take that times 8, and that's 40 grand. Right up there, though, this number's 40 left, though. I mean, I just want to make sure I'm understanding the math here, because, I mean, the deduction, the contributions don't, I mean, I'm not sure I understand that piece of it. If I'm just looking at it strictly from a budgeting standpoint, I'm looking at this number and this month, the 350 and the 75, correct?
12 months.
For 12 months, okay? So I'm at 425, okay? Okay, we know that we've already spent this, and this number right here is probably gonna be, let's just be conservative, let's say it's 40, okay? So 120, and let's keep them round, 120 and 40, we've spent 160 of the 425. Am I thinking right? So we've got a balance here of 425 minus the 160. You're at 265 for the next, I've got 265 for the next 8 months. The premium is gonna cost, if we, according to the way we looked at, would cost 181 of that, 592 of that 265. So you've got a balance. You've got a balance of 83,408, okay? You hadn't talked about dental yet. Dental runs you 1,000, it's gonna run you the way we talked about, it's gonna run you about 1148 a month. 1148, thank you, sir. Times 8, you're at 9184 for the dental. So 83,408 minus 9184, and that's a real number. 74,224 is what you got for an HRA. You'll do 50% out of the chute. You got it. It's there. You should have money left over. Is my math right on the way
So your premium is after employee contributions?
8 months, this number goes in the 8-month number right there, okay? And then, you got this number, all I'm doing is, this is gonna be 40. So you've got 35 left over here. But your total amount that you got left should be those two numbers together, which is 265. Okay? If you spent your premium, and that the premium, we know what it is, could go down, because you could have some modifications. But the premiums, based on current enrollments, 181,592 for the next 8 months. That leaves right at $75,000 for your HRA. You're spending 11,500 today. If you cut 11,500, and that's every month, it's constant. You can do the math. You pull the reports. I looked at them.
Thank you, sir.
Divided by 2, it's $57.50. Even if the pharmacy doesn't, it's going to be less.
We're reimbursing 11,000 a month now.
11,500.
Why is that gonna go in half?
Because
Because we're not doing the family anymore.
well, the employees are paying half.
Okay.
See, right now, the city's paying 100% of that. Okay? But if you're going 50-50 out of the chute, they're paying that. That's whoever's using it is going to pay that.
So if I go to the doctor and it costs me $100 now, we bring the $100 bill,
You don't have to do it. It's automatically adjudicated.
well, they have to pay $50 at the doctor.
They do. And then they bill you guys 50.
And,
The employee doesn't have to trade money. It's all administered with Blue.
okay. But the point is that right now, if they go, they don't pay the doctor anything and we get $100.
That's it. That's it. You got it. That's exactly how it happens.
So there is, not that anybody would ever do this, but there is no incentive to not go to the doctor
Goes back to the consumerism.
for a
right?
minor thing. I mean, fast pace is great to have, but the reality is you pay a lot higher
You
for
do
that
pay.
service.
You're right. It's probably 3 times higher than
And if it
what you
wasn't
would.
so close, you wouldn't go, because you wouldn't drive to Franklin, because you felt so bad.
And I'm not trying to say you shouldn't go to the doctor when you need to go to the doctor, but we have no way of knowing this, and so there's no accusation, but the bottom line is that right now, the decision is made for them. If I want to go, I just go. If you're paying 50%, you've got to stop and say, hey, wait a minute.
All you're doing is throwing some consumerism. And, you know, there's, unfortunately, the bad thing about it is, and you alluded to this, it's not like going out and buying milk. There's, negotiated rates are different with every facility. They are, and it's all, and, you know, a bigger facility, you know, with volume, they can, I mean, the negotiated rate may be under $70. You know, somebody that's a doctor that's way out in the, you know, let's say a doctor down in, you take Humphreys County or any rural area, their negotiated rate may be maybe $50, $55, because the carriers can, they pretty much have them at their mercy. That's the reason when you talk to, you know, on the other side of the coin, when you talk to physicians and doctors, you know, they bristle up with it, because, I mean, that's how I don't blame them. You know, they have to deal with it on 2 sides of the coin. They deal with it on, you know, on providing it, and then they deal with it on reimbursement. So, but you're right. It's a higher reimbursement, and that's a fact. But if you did the 50% out of there for that bucket of money, there's you've got $265,000 of budgeted money on your last 8 months. Of that 265, 181 based on your premium funding, and the counts, 181,000 is going to be in premium. If claims stay like they are, which they should, and you cut it in half, your reimbursements are going to be about $5,500 a month. Well, 5,500 times 8 is, you're at 44,000. So you're at 181 plus 44, you're under your 265. The dental is 1186 a month. So you take that you're in the budget if you do what you're talking about.
And then we start reimbursing people at 0 instead
That's
of,
right.
which helps them with their deductible.
That's right. And it's kind of simple on the front end, because if they know that when they go in, it's 50% of, you know, I'm going to be paying 50% of the negotiated rate. When they go to the pharmacy, what do they pay? They're going to be there'll be some incentive to pay the generic, the $10 generic. Now, if they want to pay for the non-generic, they're going to pay 50% of whatever that cost is. So, again, it's going to employ some consumerism even on the meds. I mean, they might not have checked before to see if there's a generic available in whatever med that may be. Now you're driving them to that. And the pharmacy piece does not count towards any of the HRA reimbursement, which it does today.
But the 50% kicks in at 0.
Yes. It's just Blue doing it for you. They're, you know, it's not.
Yeah, the way to explain that is not that it doesn't qualify for the HRA anymore. Blue now pays the 50%.
That's right. Blue's the
You're paying
HRA.
for that as part of your premium.
That's it. You got
That's
it.
your
That's
premium
it.
increase.
That's it.
Yeah.
And those.
So that essence, unless I'm buying a generic drug, for the first $4,000 I spend, I'm gonna pay 50%.
So the whole contract on pharmacy, it doesn't
And
matter.
through the whole contract,
Yeah.
well, until you get to the 5,000, right?
Until you get to 5,000, then you don't pay anything.
Right.
It's done.
But in its simplest terms, the city's splitting the cost with, the city or Blue is splitting the cost with me on every dollar I spend up to $4,000.
On the medical services only, not pharmacy. That's right.
Well, on the 50, Blue pays the 50.
That's right. But it's not any city money though.
Yeah, okay. That sounds pretty good to me, folks. Keeps us under budget and it doesn't really impact them.
It's different. There'll be some, there'll have to, I mean, there's gonna be some, you know, there'll be a, I mean, that's our job to communicate how it works, so.
Gonna bring John in and
I'll bring John and Colin and Matthew and everybody in, so it's gonna, I'll bring several in, so, because there's gonna be people that have more individual questions this year than they have in the past, so.
So did we settle on the first 50%, on the first 0, or did we go?
Well, I think the numbers show that we can go all the way to 0,
Yeah, instead of the 1,000, yeah.
which helps with the deductible. Which, I think that the more I think about it, and I tested in the back, in the dark back there for a little feedback, the concern would be more that first $1,000 deductible than the little increase in premiums.
Well, if you got $1,000, and I've seen this happen, okay? If you got $1,000 front end deductible, you gotta watch. There's a direct relationship on first dollar like that with, you start having other yings and yangs. You may have you may have some Monday morning comp issues, if that makes sense. You may have, you don't want anybody not to go to the doctor. That's your problem.
Right.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I just have one, and I think I'm just, under this HRA report, we have 4 employees on here that no longer are here. Have they already been taken off?
They are. They're just on there for in order to give you the full report, you spent the money even though, but they're not, they're not on the plan.
Okay, all right.
and it's been hard to explain to folks, but that has been a big part of our budget issues this year is the high turnover. People hitting a lot of HRA and then being gone, and then a new person
Comes in
going
and
back
they-
to 0,
yeah,
and it's been difficult to overcome. But I think so. Our game plan going forward. Do we need to talk any dental or anything this other? Or are you just gonna put it together?
The dental's, I mean, it's in the grade. I mean, the dental is, all I did was I put this, if you'll flip back to that dental tab, and I put that 1186, it's actually 1148.
And this is where you put in the tiers and then where we have been everybody.
Yeah, the reason I did that, when you look at the renewal, your current rating right now was two-tier, and the reason it was two-tier is because you pay for everything, and when you two-tier it just shifts the cost down slightly, okay? Right now, you can see at the top where you got, the counts are a little bit different on just slightly on the individual and family, but you got 13 individual and 45 family. There's your cost there on the currently. You can see the current cost right now is $28.47.62 a month. There's your annual cost. Based on, if you do on the renewal, the numbers are really, the numbers are just a slight increase. You're going to 1980 to 6009. If you take where the city down here at the bottom, where you're covering the individual only policy, and where you've got, and I included 58. Because technically you could be, but it covering it $19.80. It's $1148.98. The annual savings on that would be $13,786. And yes, take that back.
Be more than that.
The annual's 20,000 is down here at the bottom. This right here is the annual premium, okay? And the annual savings is actually $20,383.68. But the cities, the main thing when we're looking at this from a budget standpoint is this number right here, is that $1148.98, which I included on that number over here in the 265 that's left, and it fits in there.
So basically, we provide dental insurance for all of our employees, and if they want to add their family, they have to.
And that's how, and what I did, I took those tiering in, instead of them paying, the full family cost, because you may have some people that may want to break their tiering down. And, you may want to go to employ children. If you look at the full rates on that page, you go over those are the full rates on the, right here. I did the per pay period. There's but you just, it allows a cost break for employed children, employee spouse, and if somebody, it just makes the math easier for folks to kind of a la carte their plan. If you just pay the 60, you're assuming everybody's gonna want, there may be people on your family plan right now that only have 2 people. And you just don't know it. Mm-hmm. But the rate is the rate because it's a 2-tier rating on the dental. So, now if you want to stay on the 2-tier, you can. I was just trying to, I was trying to be mindful of employee deductions and kind of give them a little more.
Here's what I'd like to see us think about. We pay for the individual, we pay for the employee. Then we also pay for employee plus one.
Okay.
And that could be their spouse or that could be their children. There's really no difference in the premium. By plus one, I mean plus another entity, either their spouse or their children. And then if they want family coverage, they have to pay.
Let's go back to the other 2. Go back one page. If you're going to do that, you're better off doing the 2-tier rates, okay? Because if you're saying that, because then if you're going to apply the premium like that, if you're going to say, well, in other words, if you said you're going to pay $10 towards this, total 60, you're paying 30 here. Let's say you pay $30 for anybody for family coverage, as opposed to 60. If they want individual, that's covered at that part's covered at 100%.
I
But
see what you mean.
you sit them,
I see what you mean. Don't go back to that. Yeah, I'm good. I understand.
but, you know, let me just add that, it's still, I think it fits within what that 265 number, you're looking at 10 times, you're looking at another $450, so a month. So, by doing it that way,
You still,
you're okay.
yeah. We didn't want to. I'm just thinking, in the total package, if I'm an employee and I've got my family and I got family dental, then I'm talking about, at this particular point, I'm talking about a $25, a $50 a month raise on health insurance, and now a $25 a month raise on dental. So I'm up to 75 insurance increase for the coming year.
You do it this way, it's $15 per pay period, I mean, with the way you're talking about doing it.
That still, it still breaks down to,
It's a $30, it'd be a $30
the pay period increase.
a month if they chose that. But still, if they have individual, I'll tell you where this came, I mean, this came about, I mean, this dental plan has been in place since, Mr. Hawk could probably tell me, probably 2006, 3, you think?
4,
There
somewhere
you
in
go.
there.
When they left the state plan, there was, when we moved them off the state plan,
Early years in this building.
What does the state do with dental?
state, the price is about the same and the benefit is nowhere near as good. It's a Delta limited plan, and then they've got an Assurant plan that is just cleaning only. So it's that's what their plan offerings are. Your prices are better than the state's. You look at the state medical plan right now, you're looking at I mean, it's all on their website. I mean, anybody can pull it up. I mean, the individual rate the individual rate is in the 650 range, individual. Your family coverages are somewhere north of $1,500 a month. First year when you came off the state plan, y'all say the city saved nearly, I want to say it was between $210,000 and $250,000 a year, and you didn't have anywhere near the employees. You had probably 32 employees at the time. I've got if you ever want to see it, I've got the data. I did, one last thing, I did send this out to other carriers. So I looked at, I did a RFP submission for all other carriers that are in, and the information on the back is, you've got in the back tab is you've got a non-competitive letter, an email from United Healthcare. I looked at Humana. They wouldn't even, I mean, I could ask, but their manuals weren't even, you'd have to take health statements, but their manuals weren't even coming close into Blue Cross's renewal. Cigna declined to submit a proposal. The only one that really submitted a proposal was Aetna. And, when you look at Aetna's cost, they really probably should have held their cards to, they should have done the same thing, because it's always in perception is reality. Aetna's high. But their individual rate for a 5,500 100% plan at the top is a $315 individual rate. There's another carrier that's out there right now that I haven't got the information. They're not going to be, even if they were, it's Community Health. They're a co-op in Tennessee, and the first, it was born through the Affordable Care Act. the problem with community health at this point in time is they don't have a network. And, you know, and until they get their, until they're, you know, until you get your, until they're able to develop their network stronger, it's kind of hard for you to, I mean, how good is your insurance if you can't go see any doctor? Now, their network is getting better, and I expect that you know, next year that they're going to be a little more competitive and aggressive when you receive $60 million from the federal government to seed your carrier, though, that does help. So that's the individual rates with, and I'll just give you for example, the individual rates next year have already been filed with the state. In community health at this point in time, I believe they've got the lowest rate in this region. So, you know, things are evolving, and but you know, today when you look at your carriers here and in this state, you know, everybody, you know, there's, I just mentioned, you know, Humana, Cigna, Aetna, United, Nippon is out there. But you have to take individual application, you know, health statements on that. And then you've got community health. You got some states that just have one option, and that's it. You know, you take Blue Cross and Blue Shield, or Alabama, they've only got Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Alabama, and that's it. So while it may seem limited, comparatively, we've got, you know, there are some other carriers that are here, and hopefully, you know, at some point in time, competition's good, so,
So are y'all currently on the S network?
yes. And that's the state of Tennessee's on the S plan too. I use the state as a benchmark. We'll say if you want to reach out to, you know, we work with a lot of, we work with several county municipalities and utility districts, and you know, there are comparatively, even with your changes, you measure well. So
It's a complicated business. I was 30 years old before I knew there was any other insurance company besides Blue Cross, State Farm, Allstate, and Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom.
Marlon's a good show.
Marlon Perkins.
Yeah, Marlon Perkins, that's who
You
it was.
could get life insurance anywhere else. You got it from Marlon Perkins. St. Louis Zoo.
Tim, as far as timeline for us to make recommendations to the board, how much time do you need? I guess we need to, I guess I'm looking at in my first go-round on this. How much time do you need in enrollment? How much time do we need to put this in front of the board?
Since you're making changes, you're gonna need all the documentation needs to be submitted, if you want it clean, want it submitted prior to the 15th of October, because they have to load the new benefits, and they're gonna have to generate new cards, and they're gonna have to, you know, it takes time. Anybody that has any changes, you know, that's that now, technically, you could make the decision, you could submit it on October 31st, but it'll be a mess. Now, prior to the submission, in order to do that, you know, benefit communication needs to take place. People are gonna wanna go home, and they're gonna wanna talk to their spouses and form their own game plan. So, you know, really the meetings need to take place early, you know, as early as you can. I mean, and then that way we know the changes that need to be submitted to Blue Cross, and then cards come in and everything, you know, it's a smooth transition.
Is it too late to get it on the next agenda?
It went out. It could be added.
Put it on October 4th.
Well, but then if it's approved October 4th, you've got 11 days to communicate with employees and get back.
Next meeting will be the 18th.
Plus, I guess Patty left, so I can't speak for the whole board. You know, I don't know how they would vote. I gave up on that.
What do you have to do to change the agenda?
Whatever I do, this is one thing I've learned, if I haven't learned anything else, is when we present, I think, you or whoever, strong arms you want to come up here and sell this thing, I think it'd be beneficial. I mean,
Well,
we can recommend, but I think
I'll
they
tell you what.
they listen to to you guys.
The problem is, and I've been on a council, I've served, you don't wanna have to explain this in a council meeting, you know, and to vote on it based on that. I mean, it needs to, it's a lot of information.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've got a box here that if somebody wanted to, you know, somebody wanted to know, well, what did y'all do in 2006? I've got it here. But, you know, there's, it's just a lot of information, I guess. I mean, I don't mind doing it, but
Well, I
feel
think
like I need
maybe-
to get the whiteboard out and
I think maybe being here just in maybe if there's an answer that maybe we have a problem clearly explaining. I don't know, what's everybody's,
My take on it is that they're expecting us to work the benefits part of it, that it's for the board, it's gonna be a total cost thing. If we can show that we've eliminated the potential liability to where we've budgeted, then I can't imagine that the rest of the board will push too much on the benefits, because basically we haven't really changed, about the only change to the benefits is that we have changed that total catastrophic from 4 to 5.
on the underlying insurance.
Yeah.
And then the HRA's been
And
modified.
then the HRA's been modified, but to reduce it by $1,000 exposure. I mean, that's the two changes.
So if we put the current plan in the new plan, then he's gonna give us a new sheet on. And we
These
have
were these helpful? I mean, on the, it's this and,
That's very helpful.
Yes, no, absolutely.
That's, that right there, the old plan versus what we're going to, and the cost at the bottom, where it totals out to what our total cost is for the city, is very important. I mean, I don't,
I can get one of those I'll do that. I'll have to, I've scratched it out. I just need to clean it up.
and on the dental, given what he said, I think that, we should just pay for all employees dental, and then if they want to add their family, they just have to add it under that tier structure.
But do the 2-tier, but do the third, like what you mentioned?
No, do the 4-tier thing.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay.
Just what you put in there. We'll pay the $20,
It's 1186, or 1140. It's,
$2,000 a month or something, isn't it?
it's not even that. It's 1140.
We'll pay that.
1148.
So every employee has dental insurance, and if they want to add theirs, they can do it based on that tier that you have.
vision stays unchanged.
Well, vision's unchanged, but vision's just a voluntary, it's a
Right.
voluntary coverage.
Right.
That, you know, everybody is electing it based on, the city didn't have a dog in that fight.
Right.
It's just,
Vision stays in.
it's a coverage that you guys sponsor that they couldn't get elsewhere, and they pay for the premiums with pre-tax dollars. It's popular, you know, you got Got 44 people taking it. It's in there. It's not that expensive though it's just.
Let's get some plan of action as far as what we need to do. How soon? I guess we've got a board meeting coming up next Thursday.
Ms. Donna asked about adding that to the agenda. You can request it to be added. The board does have to vote on approving the agenda. I don't think it would be a problem, but again, as Mr. Marcel said, you never know.
Well, is there not something on the agenda already to discuss or take action on the finance committee recommendations?
Of course not.
Think we can get that added by calling in the morning? What day is it?
Once it's submitted, you have to add it at the meeting.
Paper? Told them it was my fault?
Especially. Especially then.
That I forgot what day it was?
Do you want me to have that as a standing agenda item, the finance committee recommendations? On the second meeting of the
On the
month?
second meeting of the month, yeah, because that way we never have to worry about this problem again.
Got it.
But I think we can get it added. That I think we can get 3 votes for.
When is that meeting?
The 18th,
Next
next Thursday.
week from Thursday.
Do we,
Week from today.
I mean, we
And
can,
they need it in their
we can either
packet.
go two routes. I can either take the stuff, Tim provides and pass it out to everybody, email it out, and us take it Wednesday, Thursday, next Thursday, or if you, would y'all feel more comfortable, Tim, being here in the audience, or what?
I can be here. I will be here.
I think Tim has to be
think
here in
he
the
should be
audience.
here, yeah.
But I don't, sending it out, I know they hate this, but, sometimes you're better off to get it as you go through it.
Tim, can you have that in the morning? Can you get that to me? Because the packets have not gone out. The agenda's gone out. The packet has not gone out, so we could still include it with the
Oh,
packet.
that would be great.
What do you want in there? I'll
The
get it
old
done.
and then, I think
The
the old and the
old
new
and the
plan,
new.
The
right?
old and the
Is
new
that
and
what
the
y'all wanted?
dental.
I can get that done.
The dental's
What times
done.
it need to be here?
There's-
She's waiting on me as well, so I'm not ready either.
By lunchtime would be great.
I can do that.
She didn't give me that time.
She likes him.
Okay, and we'll try to get it on the agenda.
And
We'll
I'll
ask for it to be.
I will include the request and say that it's included with the packet then.
Okay.
Do a late night discussion.
Good Alan forgetting what day it was.
So is that all we have for Mr. White?
We sure appreciate you coming out.
I appreciate working with you guys. I talking about you on with the staff today, so it's,
Oh, we're sorry we had to bring that up.
We,
well, I will get this done for you guys, and, I will, if y'all have any questions, I'll give y'all my cell. I've got it somewhere. Oh,
Did you lose your phone? Because
No,
it's
I
sitting
didn't
right
lose
there
it.
in front of you.
I brought something. Ah, I knew there was a pocket in here. There's one higher. I know. I was waiting for a response.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Sorry for taking up all your time, too.
so you take priority.
This is absolutely the best use of our time, quite frankly.
I have got a couple of extra copies too. Do y'all want the
Destroy them.
And once we get this done on the 18th, you just give me kind of a game plan of what needs to happen with you guys and our guys as far as time frame to get everything done before the October 15th?
We'll, if it's, whenever it's approved, we'll get together that night, we'll get or the following day, and we'll hammer out the calendar and kind of do the group meeting and do group communication, and then follow it up with each, the individual meeting, so.
Okay.
Do all the 125 paperwork, keep you guys compliant on that end of it, and you got the, now you've got, your compliance is, it keeps trickling into the insurance world more and more, so.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Well, thank you so much.
Well, I've definitely got somebody's seat warm.
Okay.
So did everybody get a copy of the minutes?
Auxiliary, sir, the auxiliary fire department, volunteers.
Oh,
Employees.
counting them, but we don't provide health insurance.
Thank you.
What agenda item do you guys want before I add it?
Let's do the minutes and get that out of the way.
Okay.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
We need another aye.
Oh, yeah. So,
That help?
CFO report on current finances.
All right, I know it's getting late, so I'm just gonna pass this out. I have one spreadsheet that I'm off a few dollars that I think I put in here anyway. No, I did not. I'm just gonna hand these out. What I've got, we're working towards a city manager monthly report. I'm gonna start issuing a written item. I've got, it's in, sections on kind of what happened during the month. But as you look down through here, I've tried to go through the, expenditures and revenues and kind of explain some items that I think the board members may have questions on. And then I've also, Brandy's has put in the email that if there are any questions, if they email me, I'll try to have an answer by the board meeting. Everybody, we did have a increase in sales tax again. Local sales tax jumped from, I believe it was 138 in July to 146 in August. So the overall, like I said, you can read it. I've tried to add the graphs in the back or what is going to be on the spreadsheet. Hopefully I can be, as we go through this, it can be a little more smooth presentation. Does everybody have a copy? But I'm really excited because every department is bringing in reports, and I believe as we go forward, we're going to eventually get them on the website and try to be as transparent and as informative up front as we can. As far as my report, I mean, I want to cut. I know it's getting late. If anybody has any questions, just feel free to ask. Did everybody get a copy? There you go.
So the bottom line is through August, expenditures are $53,000 below what we had projected, and revenue is $27,000 above what we projected.
If you look on, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we projected, and that, the biggest difference is the $35,000 on the revenue side, got pulled out in July instead of August. I went ahead, I thought we were gonna be using that money earlier. It looks like I'm gonna be spending it next week. So, and that's the main difference there.
I have a request.
Yes,
Next week would be September, right? We're in September.
right.
So through August, the information is we have spent $53,000 less than we planned, than we expected, and we have $27,000 worth more revenue than we expected.
Yes,
Life is good,
yes.
no buts.
We'll have the butt next month.
Well, maybe, or maybe not.
Yeah.
But the point is that we are surrounded, and I apologize for whether it's gonna come out, but I don't have any other words. The pessimism is killing me here. Everything I see indicates we are going in the right direction. You know, now it's, expenses are down from what we projected. We started with a balanced budget, to keep in mind that we didn't even include everything we thought we might get in. So we started with a balanced budget that was very conservative, very low revenue oriented in terms of increases. On top of that, we have reduced expenses and we haven't seen an increase in revenue. So everything's going just as we had hoped for during the first July, 2 of the first 3 months. The buts seem to have more weight than that. And I am concerned that the momentum that you get by people feeling, the staff, the city, the commissioners, us, everybody gets out of realizing that we are moving in the right direction, gets lost in the buts. And I'm not fussing at you, because I know your conservative nature and so on and so on. I'm just saying, this is a good story that we've got going on. Yes, there's gonna be a little pain in it, but we just solved the insurance problem. It's no longer a big thing hanging over us. Worst case scenario is that we're still within budget. So this committee's work is really serving its purpose. And I don't know, I just always heard you don't put but in there, because if you say but, it negates everything you said before but, so.
Good point.
I agree.
And so, I just want to, I get it that when we have to make those expenses, you're going to have to factually report those expenses. That's not what I'm saying. So those months, we may be in a little less positive posture. But for the first 2 months out of the gate, folks, we made a good start. I think. Am I wrong? Am I seeing it? Am I just
I see.
letting my rose-colored glasses cloud my judgment, or what?
I see a lot of positive, maybe just talking to Mr. Umber and Mr. Hall and all the things that are going on and all the building, and development that's getting started. It's just exciting. It's, I feel like we're moving in the right direction. I do think we need to watch what we do, but I do feel like we are moving definitely in the right direction. And I've got two graphs at the end that I think are interesting. I put in kind of where we were last year at this time and where we are this year at this time. And as we go through with those, I just think it's going to be neat to kind of see how our habits change from one year to the other. Thank you.
Well, I just can't. If we had the $400,000 in the bank that we need for our cushion, we would be in great shape. I didn't say but I had to say.
I'm not saying we're in great shape. I didn't say that.
We are going, we are.
I said, first 2 months out of the
You're
bucket,
managing
we are heading in the direction that we set forth we wanted to set. That's all I'm saying. I don't think we ought to stop. I don't think we ought to rest on our laurels. I don't think the journey is by anywhere close, but I do think that that the sky is not falling, that we are moving in the right direction. We've done everything that a group of 6 people could do to make it move in the right direction, and then the directors and the city manager and all those folks are doing the right thing too. And if it continues in this trend, we won't have the $400,000 till maybe the end of the year, but we might very well have the $400,000 at the end of the year.
I think it's very possible.
And then next year, we can actually be happy.
Agreed? Yes.
One thing I'd like to add, if you don't mind, the directors are following in our footsteps, requesting things that's only absolutely necessary. They come before Tom and I, and we discuss it before we allow it to happen. And that's our conservative nature, it's trying to save on to the money that we have until the times get better when the tax season hits. So that's a tribute to Tom and the way he's projecting things. And the directors are falling in line with that. And when they come to us with the absolute need that they have to have, then we really take it under advisement real well. One other thing I'd like to add, we've had an influx of building permits here lately. We've had a new company pull in that started buying up lots, Old South, which is an awful, pretty good sized firm, larger than Jones Company. And they got 3 building permits this week alone. And so that's a help. I mean, every dollar that comes in is a help. That goes into the facilities tax. It helps pay the note on this building. And I would say within the next month and a half, the new, is it Old Town Pet Center? Is that the name of it next door? Hometown. And the meeting that I was in Franklin today with the Williamson Chamber, which had all of the county mayors, Brentwood, Nolensville, Thompson Station, Spring Hill. They had no idea that we was gonna have 2 Tractor Supply places here until today. And see, they're based out of Brentwood, and they're enlarging there, but they had no idea that we had 2 of them here in our town. And we're one of 2 sites chosen for this. So I think the progress that's being made, well, it's gonna pay off. We just got to manage our time until it gets here. Thank you.
I'm going to say something positive.
Hey, I think you're positive. I just don't, I think we're,
I do feel more confident today that we're not going to have a meeting and talk about cuts more than we already have. I mean, I think it looks good for the budget, for the way we projected it to be. So I don't think we're going to have to look at those cuts.
wow. That's exciting coming from you.
I know. But 2 months out of 3, because I thought we would have to be looking at it by September. I mean,
Yeah.
after September.
I was thinking
Our
3
most
months
critical
too. Yeah, I was thinking
times
maybe-
are right upon us, and I think, I've run them numbers and run, and I'm thinking we're gonna slide through sideways, and then here we go.
And then the critical thing will be when it looks like we're flush with money, we can't go spend it
Right.
because we're not really flush with money.
That's when our job will become, again, more difficult, because we don't want to get too enthusiastic about that either. I think that this is the year to not do that.
And that's-
If we'll just stay the course for a year, then I think the subsequent years will be a lot less painful.
I think so. Any other comments on the current finances? Is the GAN on the next agenda for the DLC? And we don't need to discuss that anymore here. And since it is so late, I don't know that we want to get into the stabilization plan, but we do have to start making progress on that. So Tom's going to put something together, I think, and send it out to us.
Yes, I'm gonna send out some ideas that I have. I know there's other places to get information. I don't know if anybody's had any time to look into that, but I feel like, just, it's pretty simple. It's just what we do step by step with the money when it starts coming in. And, as long as we're in agreement and, we can present it to the board, I think it'll go over fine. I think also as we go through, these first two policies that go with the stabilization plan will be key in springboarding into some of the other policies that we need to get put in place, just to help safeguard decisions down the road.
So are you going to try to get that to us?
I'm gonna try to
at the
get
end
that,
of the month?
I'm gonna try to get it to y'all next week at
Okay.
some point.
Well, I don't remember exactly what date we told the board, but we can always extend that if we have to.
I'd like to get it to them by the second meeting in October.
I think we said the first meeting, so.
I think it was, yeah.
The date I had on my notes was October 9th, and that's not even a board meeting night.
Yeah, the board meeting's on
That's
the,
the,
We did
that's the
good.
date, that's what I had as well. October 9th, but yeah.
the board meeting's the first week,
That's what the mayor said.
October
October
9th.
9th.
At the-
Yeah.
And that's what I wrote down on that agenda, that
Yeah.
it was
Well,
nine was
but-
what was asked, requested.
Which would be y'all's meeting.
The lame duck mayor. We can get that moved if we need to. I'd like to do it by October too, but I don't know that any particular date in October is set in stone. I mean, we put that in there, but we could get it moved a week to the second
But we
meeting.
definitely need to have it on that first, in our meeting in October.
Yes, we need to deal with it at the meeting in October.
Right. So I'll get everything out. I'm gonna try by the end of next week. And if you haven't gotten anything, email and pester me, because that's priority.
So are there any citizens' comments?
Excuse me, yes, I have two questions.
You didn't sign in. I'm sorry, you missed your opportunity. Good night.
I have two questions that go back to the health insurance. In my working years, I worked for a corporation in which there were many instances where the husband and wife both worked for the corporation and therefore were both insured. But when they had to submit a medical claim, only one of them could submit it, so they weren't double reimbursed. Now, with the city, how does that work with the HRA? If you have both a husband and wife working for the city that have the insurance, hopefully only one of them can claim the HRA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying, or?
Yes, each employee is assigned an ID number, and that's how they're differentiated by each separated IDs. I don't think that would be a problem in the way it's set up.
Do we have any
There's no
spousal
double reimbursement.
Employees working for the city? No, Stuart's covered under your insurance, right? He doesn't have his own separate insurance policy, does he?
We're together. I mean, we're
So
covered
it'll be
together.
one.
Yeah, so you have one, under what we decide, there'd just be one thing. Right, there'd be one, up to $2,000 reimbursement, and that'd be it. And that wouldn't matter whether it was just you or just him or y'all together, right?
Right, I think that's a little different situation than what you were talking about, being two different separate employees.
Yeah, two different employees working for the same company. I mean, we have plenty of those.
Oh, right. Currently, I don't think there's any that are set up that way. I believe it now that if it's everybody is either individual or family, not both. That didn't answer, did it?
I don't know who we have that meets that definition, Al.
Well, I don't know, I mean,
Where they would each have,
Need to address that.
where they would each have individual policies, you mean? So that they would each be entitled to the $2,000 reimbursement?
well,
That's just.
Because if
I
they
don't know
have
how
one
the city
policy
works.
together, like they have one policy together like the Johnsons, they're only entitled to the one 2,000.
Correct.
If we had both husband and wife, and they both worked, and they both took out individual policies, then theoretically, they could be $2,000 apiece. But I don't think we have any instance of that. I don't think we have any husband-wives. But we could certainly address that in our recommendation.
It
Yes,
doesn't show
yes.
it on that HRA.
So
We need to address that.
we'll just address that, make sure. But that's a good point.
And the second thing is that, large corporations sort of pool together when they get insurance, maybe from a company. Is there any possibility that the city, goes into the pool with the state? When we buy police cars, we take their bid, or buy computer equipment, I presume we take their bid, right? Which is a statewide bid, and go with that. Is it possible that the city go with a higher level, whether it's the county or the state? And is there any advantage in that? If it's possible, I don't know if it's possible or not.
The reason that 10 years ago they got out of the state, where we were participating with the state, was that we could provide better insurance at lower cost. The counter side to all of that big get-together is, and I can speak to this because I was on the committee with the IRS for years that dealt with employee stuff. The problem that you have is that if you're going to provide insurance coverage that doesn't differentiate based upon medical condition, where you pay more because I'm a diabetic, I pay more than, say, the family next door that doesn't have a diabetic, that sort of thing. When you get to those large group policies, then you're paying for a broad spectrum of people from 20 years old to people 70 years old with a wide variety, so that the premiums don't tend to be as toward your segment as you would like for them to be. They tend to be higher, actually, because the inverse would be that they would go down. However, they tend to be higher because you've got to cover a wider variety of circumstances, and you're not going to exclude anyone. Same way here, except that we have a smaller, and right now we're still small enough that we get a better rate because of our employee base than we would if we belonged to a bigger one. But Tim does all those calculations and looks at all that stuff for us. And
Oh, he does on a yearly basis?
to see which policies are better and which, if there are other alternatives to us, we could join, like that co-op he was talking about. That's not something he's recommending this year, but when I talked to him earlier, it was clear that that co-op may be the way to go in the future, where you're pooling with other places and stuff, so.
Okay.
That was huge when we come out of the state insurance program. I was on the board the night that we come out and saved over $200,000. And I can't remember the year and the exact figure, but that was a big night when we done that. So.
Okay, so it's more expensive to be up there because you got, insure a wider range of people with illnesses and such, I guess.
Well, some of the people that he went out to see about other rates, if you read their correspondence, they won't even quote us until they go through and each one of our employees fills out a health questionnaire. And there are a lot of positives and negatives about being, about government and government employees' benefits and stuff. But one of the things that most government agencies, regardless of what level, is that they cover their people regardless of pre-existing conditions. And that's that whole thing kind of is part of and I'm not a proponent of Obamacare, don't get me wrong, but it is one of the good features, I think, of Obamacare is that it does, people with pre-existing conditions still can get insurance. You used to not be able to get insurance if you had that. So I'm sure we pay a little extra premium for that, but to try to swap out, it's gonna be different. And we've got some people that do, maybe not the employee, but got a family member or two that's got some pretty significant recurring health problems out there that we don't need to leave them in the lurch. But it's good thoughts, both of them.
Thank you.
Thank you. In my opinion, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I actually knew what he was talking about, so
I don't know if this would be of any benefit, but since they were offering a little better plan. When I looked at it. I don't know if we can get in it or not, so, but that's next year. think
Well,
it's this year anyway.
my wife had the school system plan. And, that would not be our impression.
Okay,
The county is self-insured, and the county sets up every year and then hires a company to administer it. And for example, the school teachers, the school boards, and the county employees is essentially the same. There's some differences because of the way it's administered. But the bottom line is that their cost for prescriptions and stuff is just way more significant than ours.
and all changed this year too.
Yeah, so I don't know, she retired, so we're all on mine, so but we didn't even consider staying on hers because of the coverage, so I don't know. I mean, anything's worth looking into, but,
That's it.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.